Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Sacred Remembering Podcast, episode 187. I'm your host, Sarah Poet. It's so good to be here with you. And I just want to send you like genuine connection because, as I always say, your time is one of your most valuable resources. And if you are spending that here with this podcast, that is just so special. And I value your time. I'm also going to try to record very quickly today because I have a bit of a time constraint, but I was thinking about this concept this week that I wanted to share with you and invite your contemplation, invite you to just apply this to your life. That's why I make this podcast. And framing this topic today of the yin yang of change. So, when we want to make change in our lives, is that like, do we weigh more heavily on the yin or weigh more heavily on the yang? Of course, the yin being the feminine, the inward, the stillness, silence, pause. I equate it with deep wisdom. The yang being the energy that is needed to take action, more forward, more penetrative into life. And culturally, I think we associate change and making change with yang energy. And I was thinking about this week in the framework of like someone making the decision to hire a coach or working with someone long term. Like, I guess I kind of fall into the category of coach, but I don't just see myself as a coach because I really combine it with quantum healing and soul work and the multidimensional work and life purpose work and all of this. So it's not just like life coaching. And I'm kind of laughing in my head right now because like 10 years ago, you couldn't even say life coaching. Now it's like coaching and beyond, right? So, I've totally made up this thing that I do, um, and this is just pointing quickly to like walking the sacred remembering path, right? Because there were these things that I was good at, these things that people asked me to do, things that my soul remembered, professional skills that I had developed, etc. And I put them together in my own sort of like way, my own packages, my own like particular flavor of the client work that I do. So that's a whole other podcast episode because walking that path is like that's a whole thing in and of itself. But that's the way the world is going. Now, I've been on this path professionally for 8 years, and we've come a long, long way since then. But I just wanted to say this, like, while I'm talking about this topic, that what I do is about change, but it's also about deep healing, healing trauma from this lifetime and other lifetimes, healing on those like ancestral lineage levels, clearing all kinds of stuff from the quantum morphogenetic field that blocks us, and of course, living into the soul blueprint that we are meant to live into, right? So I kind of joke sometimes and call myself a soul Sherpa. Like, I'm partnering, like I'm walking with you and with whatever we need, right? So I have a 6-month deep dive for women called Purpose, Prosperity, and Power. And like walking with women through this transformation. And this week I was with a dear client in session, and we were talking about like a present moment, like relational conflict, right? That's coming up in her life. But what we did was we went into the quantum, and this woman is also a mystic, a seer, a priestess. And so we went into the quantum together, and I was visioning, I was communicating with her about what I was seeing. She was communicating with me what she was seeing. We were both tracking the same like scene. And it was so gentle. It was so gentle. Like we were in that quantum space. And that's what got me thinking about this. Like, oh, isn't it interesting that we often go after change in this totally like gung ho way? And here, she signed up for this to live her life's purpose and do her legacy work on the planet and like bring forward the culmination of all the things that she's experienced. I mean, it's very powerful. I'm very, very honored to be working with her. And it's actually a very, very gentle process, right? And if it weren't gentle, we would probably be stressing out our system, which we definitely don't want to do, right? And then I was thinking about this personally because I think in the last 6 months, I've actually gone through some of the deepest changes, like to date, like really, really deep changes. But it's also been one of the most quiet, still, silent, introverted times of my life. And my helpers that I've brought in, like other practitioners that I brought in during this time, the work was very gentle, but it was massive change, like really foundational work. Like, thank God. I'm just so, so grateful. So the last 6 months, really, since like the flood in Asheville and Hurricane Helene, and I was talking about the change in structures and the way we structure our lives, etc. And I'm just really experiencing that myself. And I've gone through this like really deep recalibration. I'm going to call it a recalibration. So yeah, this like decision to make a big change, like when you know that you want to change your life, do you like do it from the rah, 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 like yang, I got to take action, I got to change? Or do you do it from the yin? Or maybe a better question is, what is your life calling for now? Because we can get stuck in either. We can really get stuck in like all push, or we can get stuck in all flow. Neither one is actually going to like move our life forward. But, the cheat code to what I'm saying is I think we need the yin first. And I really advocate for making some of the most important decisions of our lives from the yin and from the association of the yin. So let's just look at what happens when we do things the way our culture has like encouraged us to do and make change or hire a coach or like make these big decisions about investments, etc., out of like hype. There's so much friggin' hype. It's exhausting and I don't like it. And so the hype in the world encourages you to make really big decisions from the momentum. Can you feel into that with me? Like keep going, always climbing, always making the next move, always knowing your action step. Like coaching equates with like achievement. And I mean, that's just, it's broy. Excuse me if that's offensive, but it's like very broy and it's not wise. It's just not wise for us to make decisions like that. Because if I tune into that energetically and like, I want to reach my next level, I'm using my broy voice. I want to like achieve, right? And we stay in that hype. First of all, we're disconnected from ourselves because we don't even like have a connection with yin in that case. Also, we're probably dysregulated in the nervous system. And if you're a female who's making really big decisions about investments, money, coaching, programs you're going to join, etc., if you're making those decisions, oh God, I can just feel into this. like from a tightness and a fear and a constriction and like FOMO, fear of missing out, right? And like your nervous system is activated and your fear is activated when you're making those decisions. Whew, it's just not going to end well. And I've been there. Like I've done that myself. So, one of the things that I really wanted to get across in this podcast today was this idea, you can agree or disagree with me, that if we make a decision in fear like that, if we make a decision about change and we make that decision in the hype and in the fear, right? Pushing ourselves, even though we are like something in us does not have peace with that, or the true wisdom that is possible has not informed that decision, and we like push it forward anyway, the change is actually not going to happen. The change that you are investing in is not going to happen if there is an incongruency in your actual nervous system or in the authentic reasons why you are making that decision. So, personally, as a business owner, I have offerings that cost different amounts of money. I've traveled with this topic for a very long time, 8 years. I've like grown immensely in this arena, and I have far to go, I'm sure. We're all like evolving our relationship with exchange and money consciousness and all of that, but it's the topic that I can totally geek out on. And I've very much wanted to be in integrity with this topic, especially in the last like 4 years. So this is why I make a free podcast. This is why I have like offerings at different levels. Oh my gosh, I haven't told you on the podcast yet that I've actually decided to close the Sacred Remembering community and make those energy events that I do public events. So now you don't have to join the community to get into the community. You just go to sarahpoet.com/events. Make sure that you're on my newsletter and my bi-weekly regenerative feminine energy events are open. Okay. So when I heard the instructions to close the membership, it was like, I just heard the words, take the walls down. It's time to take down the walls. So that feels good. That has happened. That is like complete. The transition into the more public events is complete. So it would be wonderful to see you at those events, of course. And then from there, I have groups that I hold annually, and that price point varies, but I tend to try to make it very affordable. The next one that's opening, my resource program, is actually like a sliding scale based on income. It's an income-based sliding scale. So that is a different way of trying to make things, affordable. And then my one-to-one work does cost more money. So it's maybe not accessible to all. That's also okay, because I have to pay my rent and feed my family. So, and like I give such close attention and one-on-one care and quantum healing and all of those things in my one-on-one containers. So those are what naturally cost the most money, right? I never want a woman especially, but anyone, to pay that money if it scares her. I don't want that. I don't participate in the coaching industry saying, oh, you got to do what scares you. You got to spend the money even if it scares you. Fuck no. I have been that person 6-ish years ago, like the end of 2019, 2020. I spent $10,000 on a coach that A, wasn't worth it, and B, it wasn't actually in my like it wasn't safe. It wasn't it wasn't a good idea. I didn't have that kind of income just like pumping through. So it was not a good decision because I didn't have the money. So I don't want people to spend money like that in my spaces. And that's why I try to make things affordable, and I tier them, because spending money should not be something that puts you in nervous system dysregulation. And you should never be manipulated into making a decision about working with a coach from like this place of fear and young and like, you got to do it or else you're going to be missing out. That is like not the kind of change you want. I'm just telling you right now. So, yeah, I got a little sidetracked there, but I went on the road of like ethics and the fear that is often associated with the hype and take action no matter what messages in the culture. And truly, and I'm saying this again from experience, like you're just not actually going to make the actual changes if you make your original decision with any fear. I feel like I just negated like 80% of marketing messages about coaching. I'm not sure how many, that's like an arbitrary number, but yeah, I just don't buy into it. So when you have a relationship with deep stillness and your deep intuition and your soul sense and your like your feminine ways of knowing. I did a whole podcast on that recently. You can go find it. Your feminine ways of knowing. And you have a relationship with stillness. The stillness is going to inform, it's going to tell you what you need. Like stillness is always going to inform what you need. It's like the place where the answers arise from. And you don't go sit in stillness and be like, okay, I need the answer, I need the answer, I need the answer. That's not it. It's like you cultivate the relationship with the yin and with the stillness. And then you just, I mean, it's such a different way of being for most of our culture that something might be like, well, what's that even feel like? And, you know, I invite you to just like begin to try it. Like, and it's not like meditation. Again, it's not just rest and recovery, but it's stillness for the sake of stillness, like stillness for the sake of hearing yourself, for bringing forward your own wisdom. So many of you listening to this, I would say all of you listening to this, have this divine purpose, like this reason that you came to earth. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to become an energy healer. Maybe you want to start to charge for your services. All of that. But like you have this innate purpose and this innate code. And if you are forever scrolling, forever looking at Instagram, forever joining this and that program, forever taking action about like this coach says to grow a business this way, this coach says to grow a business that way, you won't actually do the thing that you came to do, because you're taking something that's inherently yin, your soul messaging, your soul wisdom. You have to get quiet in order to hear that. And if you're taking like that aspect of yourself and you're trying to bypass that and constantly be putting something in action so that you're making another post or getting somebody's attention or, you know, like just doing what you think you have to do and pushing forward anyway, unfortunately, you're leaving so much of your own wisdom behind and you're taking inappropriate action that's not actually going to lead to the impact or the prosperity that you're actually here to help generate. Like I say this all the time on this podcast, that we are the ones that are coming to earth with the code. Like the new code for where we're going on the planet is inside of modern women. One of my favorite things to talk about, because like the feminine has been repressed for so long that she's making her comeback, and she's making it through you. Like this is what is happening. So if you're trying to push and make change in your life through the yang, you're not exactly honoring the yin that you are in fact here to steward. Okay. I feel like that was a mic drop, and I'm a little bit late for my next phone call. So, you know what? You get a 20-minute podcast. What? When in the history of Sacred Remembering have I done the 20-minute podcast? It's not a bad idea. Time is valuable. So, respecting time, getting this out to you. Whew, I feel like the field is lit. I feel like we lit some stuff out there with this consideration and this topic, and just being real, and of course walking these reflections and everything myself too. I'm not like calling anybody in particular out, I'm calling us all out, that like it's time for a new way. It's time for a new way, and we have to go into that quiet to come into our divine alignment, right? Our divine alignment, to be these like oracular channels, like to hear the information that wants to come through us. And doing anything else, anything less, is just adding more noise to an already really loud and busy world. So we have to do this differently and come into these new energetic templates and like live them and be them, and it begins to transmit through the world. Hopefully me doing this work, this podcast, this topic in this way, you know, this is what I'm talking about. It like gives this new energetic template, like the light of day, and lets it be known and considered. And I'll leave you with that. If you are not on my mailing list, please go over and sign up. I would love to connect with you at sarahpoet.com. The box to sign up is right on my homepage. And right now you still receive my like really yummy Redefining Resources ebook for women. And that ebook is a really great segue into Resource, the group that is going to be forming for late May, mid to late May. So I really, really look forward to connecting with more of you around these topics of feminine resources, feminine ways of work, ways of using our integrity, ways of using our energy in integrity and sovereignty. And I'll leave you with that for today. Thank you so much for being here. Much love.